Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whenever you're watching this video. I appreciate the support, cousin. My name is Joe Josh. I go by iChart Daily. Today is November 30th, 2023. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you a window to my thought process on how I do a technical analysis breakdown on Bitcoin and the DXY, which will help us understand what is happening with the price action. First and foremost, this is not financial advice. This is a window to my thought process. This is just my opinion, and we're just chit-chatting at the bar. This is for entertainment purposes only. So, for the last couple of days to weeks, we haven't been doing much. I'm talking about this right here. We really haven't broken 38,000. But we have been making higher lows and staying in this rising wedge or ascending triangle. I do see two things that are playing out, right? The reason why I say that is an ascending triangle is when you have the same resistance but higher lows. And you could have a measured move. The measured move would be the body of the flag. You would then bring it here showing us that if we were to break down, we're coming back to this major support level of 35.7, which was resistance, right? That turned into support. The most important thing that if that does happen, right, we'd want to see something like this, is that we now have a break of market structure, right? We've been staying above this yellow support line literally since October 24th. And we haven't broken the 38,000 since November 9th. So what I do to help me understand what's happening, well, before I get into that, the reason why I said this also looks like a rising wedge is because the wicks are actually getting higher and higher. So technically you have two lines, right? You got your one line here, and then you have your second resistance line here, where if we were to break to the upside, I would use these two levels for like a confluence trade right here at the 39.1, showing me that that's the next resistance level on the way up. But, I say but, when you have something forming and it's forming a top, what's going to give you the insight to the future is the longer time frames to the right. Right now, I'm not looking at the monthly to figure out what's going on with the daily. I'm going to look at the 2-day, the 3, the 4, the 5, and the weekly. And if I'm getting bearish divergence or bearish momentum on a longer time frame, then that gives this play a higher probability of breaking to the downside. And I'll explain, right? This is not my opinion. When we go to a 2-day or a 3-day chart, I was telling one of my buddies last night, go to a 2-day or a 3-day chart. Go to any ticker that you have on TradingView and look at the waves. And you tell me, regardless of where in history you go to, did the MACD actually lie to you? Where when you had a death cross, price action came down. When you had a golden cross, price action came up. Death cross, price action come down. Golden cross, price action go up. Any ticker, any section, any commodity, any asset. Go look at the 2-day and the 3-day and look at the waves and tell me if it's ever lied to you. So now we're here, right? And we have two check boxes that we could look at to help us figure out what's happening with this price action right here. Volume is coming down on the MACD. That's checkbox number 1, bearish, right? This right here looks like we got, this is a 3-day chart, so the next candle, 3, 6, 9, maybe 3 to 9 to 12 days in order for this to officially break down. Next, we're looking at the RSI. RSI has been making higher lows, higher high, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher high. This is the first time that we came down, made a lower low, and a lower high. These highs here are lower than this one, which shows us that the trend is changing on the 3-day chart. Another thing that you need to notice is there are golden crosses and death crosses everywhere. A death cross is when the shorter time moving average goes below the longer time. In this case, the RSI right here is called the death cross. Now, the same way that I just showed you the MACD, I want to show you another strategy. Look what happens when the RSI stays above, tops out, and then breaks the moving average. We had a consolidation, right? Go anywhere in the chart and look at the RSI and look when we were bullish, broke down. Line it up with a death cross, we came down. Broke the moving average to the upside with the golden cross, we went up. Let's go over here. Let's look at 2019. Right? Broke the moving average, using it as support, golden cross, we went to the upside. Broke the moving average to the downside, use it as resistance, line it up with the death cross to the downside. Death cross, right? Break the moving average in section B, death cross to the downside. Break moving average to the upside, room to grow to the 50, golden cross, pump up. Any ticker, any one, line up those two type of processes. So now we're here. We've officially broken the moving average. We have room to bleed to at least go back down to the 70. The 70 is going to be this support here of 37.1 to potentially 36.6. So what I'm going to do is I'm watching the 2-day and want to see if and when this death cross strike 1. Now, I told you in yesterday's video, you could see here, right? We were above, we were above, we were above. Waves are getting higher, waves are getting higher. Crack in the ice. We broke below. We're using it as resistance. We've made a lower low, showing us that we made a lower high. Showing us that we could make a lower low. Once we break the 70 and we're in section A, we have room to bleed until we're extremely oversold is at the 30, but oversold is the 50. So what I like to do is I like to see when the break happens, and then I put in my short, not financial advice, to see when it breaks to the 50. The reason why I say that is everything happens in waves, but when the 3-day and the 4-day trend is breaking down, you're getting waves to the downside, right? Very simple, right? You could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Here's the top. Once it breaks down, you're making lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. So what you need to do is set your alerts and prepare for it, right? I didn't go over the DXY yet, but there's a reason why I'm leaning more bearish than bullish, right? Once again, I'm looking at the chart, and we're waiting for this to break the 70 line. Once this breaks the 70 line, I go to the 3-day, right? And then I want to see when this breaks the 70 line, right? Because then this has room to bleed. And the most important thing that I see on this chart is, once again, this support resistance level of 32,000 to potentially 29.9. Now, another thing that lines up with that theory is on the weekly chart. Turn off everything. Put on the 11 and the 21-day moving average. Excuse me. Put on the 11 and 21-day moving average. And you can see here during the bull markets, when we overextend and we're close to the 70, we usually come back and consolidate to those beautiful yellow and purple lines. We're overextended, and we're looking at bearish divergence on the 2, the 3, and the 4. And if that breaks down, then you go to the 4. If that breaks down, you go to the 5. If that breaks down, you go to the weekly. If that breaks down, we're going to 33.8 to 31.6. Exactly back to that box, pretty much. Now, another thing that helps me understand that this might potentially play out and break down is we look at the DXY. The DXY has been falling since October 4th. Bitcoin has been pumping since, October 4th. We're staying flat, right? You can see it forming its bottom, October 1st, 4th, 7th, off to the races. The reason why I say that is, once again, just zoom out and look at these waves and see what happened with the market when the dollar went from 114 to 101. Look what happened in the market when the dollar went from 99 to 113. Overall macro, dollar looks absolutely horrible. Why? Because when you zoom out to like a 2-month chart, the most important thing is which way are the waves going. It's bearish, right? The highs are getting lower each time. The lows are getting lower each time, right? I can't speak facts anymore, but it seems like someone knows that the dollar is going down, and there needs to be a CBDC to come save it, right? Because this channel will eventually break down the same way as this one, same way as this one. But the most important thing is, does the dollar collapse and make another lower low close to like 65 cents? That'd be insane, right? But the most important thing is right now the dollar is oversold. It is extremely oversold. Market bottom indicator going off showing that you got massive buys around this level. The MACD is about to golden cross with volume going the other way. Draw some squiggly lines. This is a clear falling wedge type situation, which usually breaks to the upside. Once again, in trend lines, excuse me, trend lines go with trend indicator. Trend indicator is the MACD. MACD death crossed here. We are coming down. MACD is about to golden cross. We're looking for resistance levels on the way up. So here's one. Here is two. Now you start zooming out to see if there's any other levels. You can see here. Let's delete this. Let's go back to the weekly. I always look for resistance, support, and demand levels, or resistance and support levels on the longer time frames. There's less candles, and the first thing I see is that, right? Once again, it's a range, so maybe from there to there. The reason why I say that is it had a problem breaking it here, came down, went up, used this level as support, went up, came down, used this level as support, went up, came down, used this level as support, then resistance, then resistance, then resistance, and now we're here. We tried using it as support again. So the 104.52 to the 104.10 is going to be a key level that I'm curious to see if we have a dead cat bounce scenario, right? A dead cat bounce is when something is extremely oversold, but you do have a continuation to the downside, right? We were oversold. We had a dead cat bounce. We did not make a higher high. We made a lower high, and we actually continued to the downside. So I'm curious if we come up, form that lower high compared to this one here of the 107, and then we have a full breakdown closer to like, well, let's just check it out. This lasted 21 days. If we last 21 days, that's like December, and then you really start collapsing closer towards like March, April, May, which just lines up with the Bitcoin halving. The reason why I say that, I'm looking at the longer term trend. Longer term trend opening up, still has room to bleed. Your zero line represents your most recent low. Your most recent low is 89. So if we continue heading down to the zero, we're going to continue heading down to 98, 94, then 89. Another thing that's going to help you understand if we're going to have that continuation to the downside is your RSI. Is the RSI going to stay above the 50? If it stays above the 50, we stay above 101.64. If we break the 50, then it's a continuation to the downside. Another thing that I do see that lines up with this, right, go even further if the data is available, you could see a death cross potentially happening on a 3-month chart, showing me that this pattern that's playing out right now. So I want you to think, are we getting bearish divergence on the longer time frame? Yes. So this pattern that's playing out should be bearish. You understand? Could be a double top coming back down once again, all the way back down to here, lining up with, 2025, something like that. Why do I say that? Once again, look at the charts, look at the Bitcoin halving, look what happened in the 4-year cycle with Bitcoin, and look what happened in the 4-year cycle with the dollar. That's the video. Love you guys. Once again, we have alerts set either way, right? I would set an alert here at 38.2. Why do I say that? It's because that's where it hit the wicks. At 1, 2, 3, and the top of this. I want to know if it actually goes back up to that area and breaks, or I'm going to raise this alert here to 37.1. And I want to notify myself if we do break that and we head back down to the 36.7. Either way, if you have a hard understanding of like how do I know that that's going to happen, if that's the first question that you're thinking right now, well, how do we know what's going to happen, Joe? Is it going to break up or down? You bet with the long-term trend. If the 3-day breaks down, nothing positive comes from that. Okay? Nothing. Once again, any coin. Let's look at sushi. You had, right? Just look at Death Cross, price action. Okay? Golden Cross, price action. Death Cross, price action. Okay? Golden Cross, $4.50 to $9. Death Cross and below, even worse. 13 to 5, right? Golden Cross, 4 to 10. Death Cross, 9, forget it, to 2. So we're here, and once again, volume's coming down. You're at the 7D. You want to start seeing the bearish divergence play out on all these coins, and then profit go back to Bitcoin, right? You get your 1, you got your 2. That's it. Love you guys. Appreciate the support. Any comments, questions, concerns, leave it in the comment section. I do get to everybody. Join the Discord. That is free. Links in the description. Thank God for the Discord, because my previous channel that had almost 2,000 subscribers and almost 700 videos of me explaining this stuff is gone for no apparent reason. I don't know what happened. No one told me anything. But I'm trying to play it safe this time. At least that's what I can do, right? I can control only the controllables. So I'm keeping things PG, not mentioning names, calling out people, etc., etc. If you appreciate this type of information, the only thing I can ask from you right now, cuz, is just like the video. Like the video, comment, help me versus the algorithm, and share the video if you know anyone that could benefit from these videos. That's it. Love you guys.